In this video tutorial, I will show you how to solve the NBT.6 division for our Unit 2B test review. Question number 1 says 2,763 divided by 7. I'm going to show you using the box method because I feel as though it's the most popular method that students are using, but you can also use any type of method that you would like in order to solve these problems. So I'm going to make a box as it says in the box method. And I'm going to break my box into 4 because this is a 1, 2, 3, 4-digit number. I'm going to put my divisor, which is 7 on the outside. Remember, the divisor is the number of groups that I'm splitting this bigger number into. This bigger number is called the dividend because that's a large number that I'm splitting into these 7 groups. So I'm going to put 2, 7, 6, and 3. And I always keep my numbers kind of tucked close to the lines because when I bring it up, I always want to put my number in front of it. So that helps me stay organized in order to make sure my number fits in front of my other numbers. Then I'm going to start dividing, and my quotient is going to end up here. So I'm going to put Q here for quotient. So I'm always dividing, asking myself, how many times does this go into my divisor? Sorry, I forgot. I'm also going to write my steps over here to the side in order to help me stay organized and continue to go through the steps as I work through my problem. So my steps are divide, multiply, subtract, bring up, and repeat or remainder. To help you remember that, you can remember dad, mom, sister, brother, rover, and then you just have to know what those mean in order to figure out the problem. So I'm first starting by dividing. I'm asking myself, how many times does 7 go into 2? 7 goes into 2 0 times. Because if this number inside of it is smaller than the number on the outside, it cannot go into it. Then I'm going to multiply. 7 times 0. I'm always multiplying on the outside, dividing on the inside. 7 times 0 is 0. My next step is subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. Next step is to bring up. I'm going to bring up this 2 in front of the 7. Now I'm going to repeat because I still have some left over. So now I'm going to say 7 goes into 27 how many times? Well, 7 goes into 27 3 times. Multiply. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract. 27 minus 21 is 6. Next step is bring up. Bring up the 6 in front of the other 6. Repeat, back up to divide. 7 goes into 66 9 times. 7 times 9 is 63. Subtract 66 and 63 will give me 3. Bring up 3. Repeat. 7 divided by 33. 7 goes into 4. 7 goes into 33 4 times. 7 times 4 is 28. And 33 minus 28 is 5. Since I have something left over down here and it's not 0, I have a remainder of 5. So my answer is 394 remainder of 5. Since this is a test review and on the test, I would strongly suggest checking over my work. So I'm going to put over here to the side, check. Because if you check your work and you will be able to know you get it right. And if you didn't get it right, you'll be able to go back and see if you made a mistake in your dividing. So in order to check it, I'll multiply my quotient, 394, times my divisor of 7. And at the end, I'm going to add my remainder of 5. And I should get 2,763, which is my dividend. So I'm going to multiply it through using the standard algorithm, and the next one I'll multiply it through using the area model in order to show you the 2 different ways that you could be checking these. So the standard algorithm, I'm going to do 7 times 4 is 28. Bring my 2 up here, put my 8 down there. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 2 is 65. My 5 goes down there, my 6 comes up here. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 6 is 27. So I got 2,758, plus 5 is going to give me 2,763. So that is correct because it's the same as my dividend of 2,763. Next one, 6,782 divided by 5. So my steps over here to the side, divide, multiply, subtract, bring up, repeat or remainder. Sorry, the lights, as always. Okay, draw my box. Break it into 4 pieces because this is a 4-digit number. 6, I don't know why I was drawing a 2, 7, 8, 2. 5 goes on the outside. Now I'm going to start working through my steps. How many times does 5 go into 6? 5 goes into 6 one time. 5 times 1 is 5. Subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. My next step is to bring up my 1 towards my 7. Now I'm asking myself, how many times does 5 go into 17? 5 goes into 17 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract 17 minus 15, which is 2. Bring up my 2 in front of my 8. Now I repeat. 5 goes into 28 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract those 2 and I get 3. Bring it up. 5 goes into 32 6 times. 5 times 6 is 30. 32 minus 30 is 2. So I have a remainder of 2. So my answer for this was 1,356, remainder of 2. In order to check it, I'm going to multiply 1,356 by 5 and then add 2. So this time I will use the area model. So I will put my 5 on the outside. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4-digit number, so I'll break this up into 4. And I'm going to put this into expanded form. So this is 1,000 plus 300 plus 50 plus 6. And then I'm just going to put plus 2 over here to the side so I don't forget it. Okay, so now I'm going to do 5 times 1,000, which is 5,000. 5 times 300, which is 15. 1, 2 zeros, 1,500. 5 times 5 is 25 and 1 0, so 250. 5 times 6 is 30. I'm going to add these all up together. I don't have much space, so I'm going to kind of add them in my head. 5,000 plus 1,500 would give me 6,500 plus 250 more would give me 6,750 plus 30 would give me 6,780, and then plus 2 more is going to give me 6,782. And 6,782 is the same as my dividend. So I check that and I know my answer is correct. Next one. Jaden knows that 20 times 7 is 140. If he takes away 7, that leaves 133. Based on his reasoning, solve for 133 divided by 7. I messed up and accidentally put 134 there, but it should be 133. So kind of how we figure out when we multiply what is going to be next, or if we say that 7 times 10 is 70, so 7 times 9 must be 63. This is the same concept except using bigger numbers. So for this one, 20 times 7 equals 140. Since we subtracted 7, that is going to give us something times 7, which is going to give us 133. Well, if we're taking away 1 7, that means we're multiplying it one less time. So 19 times 7 is going to give us 133. And we know multiplication is just the inverse of division, so that would be the same as saying that 134 divided by 7 is going to equal 19. So my answer for this one is 19. Some of you may think this is kind of an easier concept, and others of you might think it is a little bit more of a difficult concept. So if you are not understanding this concept of bringing one less, then I would suggest just sticking with the 133 divided by 7 and using the box method to solve. But if you feel comfortable with this strategy, that is okay as well. Okay, next one is to select all that apply. So make sure you select all of them that have the expression of 32. So I'm going to start with 304 divided by 9, and I'm going to use the box method for all of these. So I'm just going to write my steps right down the side of here. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring up, repeat, or remainder. So I'm going to make my boxes kind of small in order to be able to do all of the work on this one area right here. So I'm going to start off with 304 divided by 9. 304 is a 3-digit number, so I draw it in my 3 boxes, divided by 9. 9 goes into 3 0 times. 9 times 0 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Bring up my 3. 9 goes into 30 3 times. 9 times 3 is 27. 30 minus 27 is 3. Bring up my 3. 9 goes into 34 3 times as well. Minus 27 is going to give me 7. So now I have a remainder of 7. So my answer for this one is 33, remainder of 7. Since this one has a remainder, that is not the correct answer. Next, I'm going to do 259 divided by 8. 259, my dividend inside, my divisor on the outside. Divide 8 into 2. How many times does 8 go into 2? 8 doesn't go into 2 anytime, so I'm going to put the 0 on top. 8 times 0 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring up my 2. 8 goes into 25 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract those two numbers, I get 1. Bring up my 1, and I have 19 over there. Now I'm asking myself, how many times does 8 go into 19? 8 goes into 19 2 times. I'm going to subtract 8 times 2, which is 16. Subtract those 2, and I get a remainder of 3. So this is not the right answer either because it's 32, but it has a remainder of 3. So that is not the correct answer because we just want a value of 32. The next one is 224 divided by 7. Put my divisor on the outside, which is 7, my dividend on the inside, and I'm going to get my quotient on the top. Divide 7 into 2. 7 does not go into 2, so I put my 0 on top. 7 times 0 is 0. Subtract, I still have 2. Bring up my 2. 7 goes into 22 3 times. 7 times 3 is 21. Subtract 22 and 21, which is 1. Bring up my 1. 7 goes into 14 2 times. My quotient is 32. And 7 times 2 is 14. Subtract 14, 0. So this one does not have a remainder. The answer is 32, so I know that that is one of the values, so I would circle that one. D, 160 divided by 5. I know I'm not going to get a remainder for this one because 5, any number that ends with a 0 or a 5 is going to be divisible by 5. So this isn't going to be a remainder, so this is a possibility that this one will be one of the correct answers. So let's see. 160 inside for my dividend, 5 on the outside for my divisor. I'm asking myself, how many times does 5 go into 1? That is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. Minus 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring up my 1. 16. 5 goes into 16 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract. 16 minus 15 is 1. Bring it up. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract 0. So this is 32, remainder of 0. So this is another one of the answers. Last one, 100 divided by 3. We could still use the box method to solve this one, but I know that the rule for 3s for divisibility is that if I add up the sum of the digits, it has to be divisible by 3. But 1 plus 0 gives me 1, and 1 is not divisible by 3. So I know this already is not going to be the right answer. Just to check it and show you, if you wanted to do the box method, you would get something with a remainder, so it's definitely not going to be 32. So 3 goes into 1 0 times. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract that, you get 1. Bring up the 1. That's going to be 3 going into 10, which goes in 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract the 9, we get 1. Bring it up again. We get 10 again, so 3 goes into 10 3 times as well. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, and I still have a remainder of 1. So that answer is incorrect as well. Come back for my next video in order to review multiplication.